I will be giving myself 100 days to complete my goals in hardcore Minecraft. I wanna craft the Infinity Gauntlet, become THANOS, and destroy the Ender Dragon. And if someone besides myself and my mom is watching this, feel free to subscribe and like the video. Day 1, and you guessed it. Even though I was trying to become THANOS, I had to gather some wood, and I had to make some basic tools in order to survive this world. I also had to build some shelters, so I built probably the best dirt house you will ever see in your life. At least that's what I'm going to have you tell when I become THANOS, because you will fear me. Because I'm THANOS. I also decided to explore some local caves, and I learned that they were inhabited by what seemed to be inferior creatures, but they gave this THANOS aspiring hero a run for his money. So yeah, I got pretty sweaty palms. Luckily, I got geared up pretty fast, and I started to grind a decent amount of iron and try to find diamonds, gold, and everything else I would need to make the THANOS Infinity Glove. But it was no easy task, so I think I branched mine for so many days without finding any diamonds. Yeah, this guy grinded good. Really good. I really wanted to become THANOS. And for a short period of time, I also became a fisherman. Because, you know, all the pigs and sheep I killed. Eventually, the food would run out and I had to kill some fishies. Yeah, because my farm was, it wasn't ready for me to feast on it yet. But after spending so much time grinding, farming, and all these non-THANOS things, I found diamonds. And I was one step closer, annihilating the world. I'll make it into a farm, whatever. I'm THANOS, I do what I want. This next part I'm not very proud of. You know, when you're in a restaurant and there are certain people that pull out their phone and take Instagram photos of their food. Yeah, I kinda did this with diamonds. Yeah, sorry. Let's move on. I had some big trouble finding amethyst, so I used a trick that some would call, what would they call this? Oh yeah, X-ray. But this is not X-ray, this is the THANOS method. I need amethyst and I want to be a THANOS and any means necessary. That's how it goes. After getting some amethyst, I decided to show everyone who was boss. So I basically killed every mob I could find around my house and in caves and everywhere basically. And as you can see, I'm pretty powerful. Before I could take on a full-time job as THANOS, I had to find some emeralds. Because one of the ingredients to making an Infinity Glove was getting emeralds. And I visited a local village and I traded me some emeralds. I also did them a favor by taking some of their crops. Basically, I took all their crops. So yeah, they don't need to worry about their crops anymore. Because they don't have any. But don't worry, I put all the crops to good use. I expanded my own farm. I believe that's what THANOS would have done. Yeah, I'm the strongest, so of course I need the biggest farm and all the crops. It had come to my attention that people from the Nether had never heard about me. So I decided to pay them a visit and maybe steal all their Nether crops if they have any. Or maybe just show off my big muscles. In order to get these muscles to pop, I had to build the Infinity Glove. And unfortunately, I had to spend an excessive amount of time looking for ancient debris. Because ancient debris is something you need for an Infinity Glove, sadly. I came very close to quitting my dream of becoming THANOS and just maybe be a, Thor hero. Yeah, you know, Thor, the guy with the big stomach. Yeah, that guy. I was very close to becoming him. But I couldn't give up my dreams of becoming THANOS. So I almost took a selfie of me with this long hallway. And I even tried to X-ray once again. But it was no use. I was no good at it. And there were no ancient debris anywhere. I almost quit. But luckily I didn't, because I found ancient debris. Ancient debris. I felt so happy I almost took a selfie. But instead I went home and put it in the furnace. And at this moment I realized that I needed another piece of ancient debris to be able to make the Infinity Gauntlet. So instead of binge eating or going back to crying, I decided to take on the Nether once again and find me some more ancient debris. So I grinded like there was no tomorrow. I was filled with determination, and you could say I grinded as much as one that took Thor's last dessert and had to run for his life. Luckily it paid off and I found me the last ancient debris that I needed to make the Infinity Gauntlet. Oh yes! So I went home and posed for the biggest and happiest selfie you ever saw. Yeah, because it was time to make the Infinity Gauntlet and I threw all the ingredients on the ground and I made the goddamn Infinity Gauntlet. The power is mine. But even the strongest being in the universe would need a very nice place to live. So I decided to terraform and start building me a home. And the important part wasn't building something big and very bold and beautiful. It was making something very cozy and farm-like. Because I believe the Thanos that I am striving for is the one that wanted to live on a farm. So I had to make my surroundings look more like a farmland. And the home I was trying to build for myself, to store my things and even to sleep in, I was going for something that was very nature-like. So I used wood, oak wood, spruce wood, and I tried to make it blend in with the surroundings as much as I could. I even tried to make the roof out of leaves to make it look even more natural. And I believe I accomplished a very nice home. So of course the next part I needed to take on was to gather materials to find the stronghold which holds the portal to the Ender Dragon. The troublesome part of this was to grind the ender pearls and of course also getting the blaze rods. But the blaze rods is another matter. So for now, I just had to grind Enderman like there was no tomorrow. Whoops. It also caused quite the commotion when I yelled out that pineapple belonged on pizza. So yeah, the Endermen were furious about this, so they tried to kill me, but it was no match for me because I got the gauntlet and I destroyed them all and got the ender pearls that I needed to take on the Ender Dragon. The next part of the journey was the very difficult one and probably one of the more dangerous ones, because I had to find a stronghold, and you know, when you're adventuring in the nether, it's very easy to get killed, fall in lava, and so forth. So I really had to watch my step, and I even put cobblestone blocks to be able to find my way back, because if I got lost in the nether, I would never ever be able to take on the Ender Dragon and accomplish my goals for this video. So yeah, it was a very difficult time. But I found a fortress and I rather quickly found a blaze spawner, so it was no difficult task. It was quite easy, especially with the gauntlet, so if a blaze was misbehaving, I could just use the mind mode and then they would not attack me and I could grind for blaze rods. It was very easy. So I went back home and started an expedition for the nether stronghold. And because I was getting the hang of the teleportation part, I could move big distances quite fast. But you know, it's never easy being on an expedition, so I also had to travel by boat for a while. For the most part I got my ender pearls back, but somehow I ended up with less ender pearls than what I needed, so yeah, I just hadn't realized yet. It seemed I was quite close to my destination and unfortunately I lost another ender pearl, so yay! I didn't feel like losing any more ender pearls, so I used the X-ray method to make sure I was at the right place, and one stone block showed me that I was indeed in the right place. So I did some digging and did some more X-raying and found the right place. And once I got closer and killed the silverfish, I quickly realized that my ender pearls were not enough, so I would have to go back. I traveled all the way home, went to the nether, grinded a few more ender pearls, and then once again I went back to the stronghold to prepare for the Ender Dragon fight. I made it to the end, and for a short period of time I actually thought that I fell to the void, but I didn't. So I made myself a small cobblestone bridge and I was very scared, but luckily I made it through and made my way onto the battlefield. It comes as no surprise that the power mode is the mode we need to use at the Ender Dragon. Luckily we could very easily destroy the pillars, and even by shooting at the Ender Dragon it lost a significant amount of health. Yeah, so all I had to do was destroy all the pillars and then go absolutely ham on the Ender Dragon. I also had to watch out for Endermen, because if even one Enderman would step in front of me while using the power mode, I'm pretty sure that my head would get blown off. So yeah, I had to pay attention. And paying attention is not something that is easy to do while fighting the Ender Dragon with an Infinity Gauntlet. It's not an easy task, guys. It is not. Oh my god, but luckily my aim was mediocre. But I hit the Ender Dragon and it did an insane amount of damage. And it didn't take long before I had Ender Dragon down to a very small portion of health. So I felt pretty good about myself, even though an Enderman were trying to kill me. Luckily, the Infinity Gauntlet has this mind mode, so I could just hypnotize him and have him stand there like an absolute fool while I would obliterate his boss, the Ender Dragon. Oh yeah! It seemed I had the Ender Dragon down to 0 health, but for some reason I couldn't find it. But it didn't take long. Then the Ender Dragon actually showed and it was dying. So I did a very good job as THANOS. I absolutely smashed the Ender Dragon. It was surprisingly easy with the gauntlet. So yay! The next thing I did was to collect all the XP, because who doesn't want a large portion of XP? That's probably one of the best parts of the Ender Dragon fight, that is when you can collect the XP. I also wanted the dragon egg, because why not? I killed it, I want it, and that is what I set out to do in this video. I set out to kill the Ender Dragon, and of course I am going to collect the Ender Dragon egg. Yeah. So that concludes the video. I became THANOS and I defeated the Ender Dragon. And if you did enjoy this video, then feel free to subscribe and like. And as this is my first video, I can't really direct you to another video, but I could ask you to watch the video again. So go at it, and thank you for watching.